Hello everyone, my name is Maciej Nowak and welcome to the Osom To Know podcast where we discuss all things WordPress. My today's guest is David Sinton, co-founder of Quiet Owls, a digital growth agency focused on D2C space. I have a feeling that there's a lot of actionable knowledge in this episode for you to test on your e-commerce platforms. In this episode, we talk about some concepts that are not your typical first choice when thinking about optimizing conversion rates. For example, making the buyer journey longer, not shorter. Crazy, right? And interesting too. We also couldn't avoid AI topic and the impact it has on content creation. If you don't want to miss new episodes and keep learning about WordPress, please subscribe to our newsletter at osomstudio.com/newsletter. This is osomstudio.com/newsletter. If you watch this on YouTube, give us a thumb and subscribe to the channel. This means a world to us. Without further ado, please enjoy my conversation with David Sinton.
Hey everyone, it's good to have you here. We're glad you decided to tune in for this episode of the Osom To Know podcast.
It will be a little bit different than other episodes I have recorded with people from WordPress space and so on, because I reached out to you to discuss some of the aspects that are related to, for example, having a WooCommerce store. If you are running a WooCommerce store, I wanted to ask you some questions regarding how I can have my life maybe easier, or how can I make my revenue higher, or how can I be more successful at running my e-commerce platform. So that's the theme for today. A question I would like to ask as like an introduction would be, what are some unconventional strategies or approaches for marketing and working with e-commerce platforms? Something off the beaten track, like more performance, better performance, better checkout process. It's very popular. But what is something less popular as a strategy for working with e-commerce in terms of marketing that you can think of?
Yeah, it's a really great question, because I feel like everyone's talking about optimizing that path to purchase. How can they make it as efficient as possible? How can they reduce the number of clicks? How can they get to the product faster, get to checkout faster, purchase faster? And our agency has taken a very different approach with this, because what we've seen is the gap that comes from that is people forget to introduce the value of their brand. They're in such a hurry to push a purchase through that they forget that non-brand visitors to the site, people that are not yet familiar with the company that's selling the products, those people, they need some education, they need some inspiration on why they should care about that brand. And if everything has been optimized around brand visitors who already know the product, already know the company, and are coming back to purchase, if you've done such a good job optimizing that path to purchase, that it's so fast and so quick, you often forget to warm up those non-brand customers. And what you end up with is a growth engine that's focused on converting people that already know about you. That you end up spending money on people that were going to purchase from you anyway, and optimizing your website around people that were going to purchase anyway to make it easy for them. And your marketing is not attracting new eyeballs, it's not attracting new customers, and it's not performing the way you want it to. So our agency's been experimenting, running tests on how can we slow it down? How can we go in the opposite direction, take more time to inspire, educate, nurture, make buying a longer journey, a longer process, and measure that properly, and then validate that that's actually bringing new people into the brand.
It sounds really counterintuitive. Can you give, for our listeners, some example of like how to grasp that such well optimized funnel for going to like straight to purchase? What are the factors that are obvious when you are seeing this as an example of a shop that is constructed in such a way?
It actually starts even outside the website. So when we audit Facebook accounts for prospects, we often see a huge portion of their spend is being spent on product focused ads. So just an image of a product, here's the price, buy now. It often includes what we call dynamic remarketing, where it's actually just ads based on your product feed, where it's just showing an image of the product, a price, and a link to buy it. And you follow that link, it takes you straight to the product page with a streamlined checkout, very little information why you would want this product or the brand that's carrying this product or the history behind it. It's focused on price, add to cart, buy it now, get it now, one-click checkout.
When I'm hearing this, I'm thinking about, for example, a shop which sells a product that is, it's not like a brand shop, but rather a shop that is selling product that is, available in multiple platforms, and the focus is just to push that product. And no matter what, because we don't have any brand, there is that product of some, other, known brand, and these guys did all of the education around the brand, and we are just pushing the product. So do I get this right?
You got that right, except that to assume that the brand is doing the education is also a missed opportunity. In cases like that, we have a client that sells scuba gear, and he carries scuba diving gear across multiple brands. And the opportunity there is not to try and compete on price and efficiency, it's to compete on education. So why would you pick this scuba mask over a different scuba mask? Why would you pick these fins over those fins? Why would you pick this dive computer over that dive computer? What are the benefits? Who's it for? Which conditions does it perform the best in? All that education for the consumer is what's going to have them trust that company and be like, I want to buy from them. It's not just about price. It's not just about how fast checkout is. It's the education that comes along with it can be what differentiates you from competitors.
All right, makes sense. Thank you. So we can now get back into making that path longer, not rushing to the checkout. So I have a feeling that it's a piece of advice I'd hear: shorten the path, remove that stuff, right? So in what situation would that work, and how would that work?
That's a great question. So I think starting with the easiest way to look at it is with paid social. So if you look at your Facebook ads account, and most of your ad spend is going towards dynamic remarketing, product-focused marketing, try linking to a category page. Try having video and other content rather than linking to an individual product, link to a category page. You're moving up one level and run that as a test. If you're already doing that and you're linking to category pages and letting people peruse various products within that category after educating them on Facebook why they should care about the product. One of the tests we actually ran that really surprised us when we ran it as a split test was directing, and this applied to paid social and paid search traffic. So if you've got keyword traffic, give me a product category, give me an example, and I'll
running shoes.
Perfect. So you're searching online for running shoes rather than taking people to a category page, which is just 20 different brands of running shoes, different colors, different styles, different prices, with sort and filter on the left, maybe by price or size or style. You might consider running a split test where half the traffic you send it to a educational lifestyle page of like how to buy running shoes, how to pick your next pair of running shoes. That really breaks that out into, are you caring most about, or how are you running? Are you a trail runner? Are you a road runner? Do you need waterproof? How important is it to be crazy light? How advanced of a runner are you? How much ankle support do you need? These would all be topics that could be educational that lead people into the shopping experience more gently with beautiful photography, storytelling, etc., that warm that audience up, feel like they're gaining value even before they start shopping. We've run tests like that for e-commerce brands, and maybe running shoes is not the best example because maybe people are already educated and everyone's doing that. Other categories, this same philosophy might work even better for, and that's why I'd encourage it to be a split test. But what we've seen with a lot of clients is that longer journey where you're not just dropping them into products and pricing, but why they should care about the brand. Telling more of the story, providing more education, actually led to higher dollar per visitor outcomes, that it was more efficient.
So would you say that education won the client over for that particular brand, or sparked that urge to buy? Let's say it's my theory. So there were two scenarios. This person wasn't 100% willing to purchase, and that education sparked that purchase, triggered that purchase. That this was that missing element, or the brand won over that client against other brands. Let's say competing for the same within the same product category.
So I think what I'm hearing the distinction you're helping me make is the difference between a brand and how they would use this versus a reseller. And I think each case would have to be evaluated differently. I think in most cases, we're dealing with brands, not resellers. Most of our clients are brands, not resellers, and we're helping them provide that inspiration and education for why you should care about this brand over another brand. So that's the use case I'm most familiar with. But we do have clients that are also resellers. And I think the difference is with a reseller, it's more about educating the client on why they should pick which brand over another brand. Or why they should pick this type of product over another type of product. It's more education, that you're adding value in the buying journey by giving them knowledge. I think with a brand, it's more inspiration. It's less about technical education. It's more why you should care about this brand over any other brand. And that might be more of the storytelling behind what went into the product design, why it's different from other product designs, its competitive advantage, things like that, where it's less technical education about that field that they're in and more why this brand or this product is superior.
In your example, it all starts with the marketing, like ads, for example. So you can direct ads at the product, then fast checkout, or you can direct the ads as split test. So obviously to check, if this is a good idea, on the education pages. You brought up that reseller, and if you have a big enough brand which has resellers, this has to be partly beneficial for the whole channel, right? Because the brand is doing the education for the mass market, from which the resellers will benefit because the education was done by the central headquarters, let's say, right?
Well, I mean, you triggered a thought for me is it's not that all traffic needs to be funneled through this long buying journey or educational landing page or inspirational landing page. There's a time and place for both. So if you're running, for example, shopping ads on Google and you have a product feed, you're going straight to product pages, and it's how can you optimize a product page, and you're running tests on your product page. Where we've seen value with the long form educational pages, lifestyle pages, etc., is opening up search keywords. So we see this again and again when we audit accounts. The bulk of the money is being spent on shopping campaigns where they don't really control keywords. It's just a product feed, and you're putting money behind that product feed and it's optimizing around products that are converting, but you don't have as much control and it's all bottom of the funnel focused. People love that. The metrics look good. That's why they lean into it, but they often neglect search advertising. And search advertising, it's typically broader keywords. So for example, if you search for Nike men's size 12 running shoes, it's more likely to pick a shopping ad at the top of your experience. You're more likely to click one of those. You already know you want Nike. You already know what size. You already know what you're looking for. You're going to come to a product page and you're going to check out. But if you're just searching for best men's running shoes, that's the type of keyword where you're more likely to click on a search ad. And you're looking for that education, you're looking for that inspiration, you're looking for the reviews, you're looking for something that's going to help educate you on which brand you should pick and why.
Yeah, you are indicating that you are much earlier in the journey because you don't know what you want to buy.
Exactly. And it's in those cases where if you try pointing keywords like men's running shoes to a category page that just lists pictures of running shoes with prices and they don't know what to pick and why, versus taking them to a page that's going to educate them on the best running shoes. Typically, the page that's going to educate them on the best running shoes will outperform just a shopping category page for the tests and brands that we've run. I mean, it obviously it varies brand to brand and it's something you need to test, but that has been one of the things we've unlocked with a longer, more deliberate buying journey.
Based on a very broad query intended for education of the user, you're directing that person into a category page. This seems like a clear mistake on the shop site.
And it's easy to call it a mistake and point the finger. The reality is it's a lot of work to create these long form education. It requires content, it requires thought, and it requires testing to validate that it works, versus, hey, I have a category page for men's running shoes. They're searching for men's running shoes. It's WooCommerce, right? You've got these category pages, drop them there and see what happens. It's very easy and quick to test that. It's very hard to create the content landing page and lead people into the shopping experience. It requires a lot of thought and testing.
Since we started talking about content, there are platforms or tools that let you, for example, generate 800 blog posts on given keywords, for example. So there is more and more ways to massively saturate your website with extremely cheap content. So how then you will be, managing that quality of content to make this still relevant for the customer?
It's such a good question, and everyone's talking about it right now, and it's very polarized, right? You have people who swear it's the future, it's changing everything, and if you're not on that train, you're falling behind. And then on the opposite side, you have people questioning the quality of it. Personally, I'm on the side that's questioning the quality of it. I feel like it is producing content to sound like everyone else. I mean, it's writing on everything else to sound like everything else. So if you want your brand to fit in, to pass the sniff test, to look like everyone else, because you feel you're just getting started, you have nothing, you're starting from nowhere, and nobody's heard about you, and you want to look credible, you want to look like all the other big brands in your space. Maybe it's an exciting way to get started. Maybe it's a way to get content when you don't have the resources to produce content. The reason I don't like it is the brands that do well are the ones that have a vision, that are unique, that have a way to connect to humans in a unique way that people will care about. I mean, that's what building a brand is making people care about your vision of your company, your products, and how it can help people. If you're just spitting out content to sound like everyone else, you're going to look like everyone else, and there's going to be no reason to really care about why you should buy from this company or brand. So I think it's a poison pill. It's sugar coated. It looks really appealing. It's a quick way to get content. It's a quick way to get something when you have nothing. I think it's okay for research, but I think in terms of actually using it to generate content, I think it's very, very dangerous.
I will play the devil's advocate for a second, but when you are eating a lot of sugar, you're exploding as well, right? But maybe this is worth the effort and worth the risk if you are producing massively, wonderful results. I'm not saying it's the case, but just for the sake of discussion.
I've seen accounts where they've used this for SEO, and the marketing department is incredibly confident that they're crushing it using AI to generate content. And when I went to audit those accounts, what I found was a lot of traffic coming from Google. That the AI had followed through on its promise. It was generating pages and pages of content that was ranking well on Google. And it inflated all of their traffic metrics. That if you were analyzing this company's performance from a traffic perspective, they'd hit a home run with this. Unfortunately, none of it was converting. That this was traffic, it came, it looked, it skimmed, it bounced. And now they were desperately trying to figure out, well, what could they do to those landing pages to have them still rank well, but have them convert? And so now they were having to put attention on that.
Building on what you said, have you already developed that mental filter when you are browsing or reading some blog post, you see the blog post cover, the image, or you scroll through YouTube. I have a 7-month-old baby, so when I'm scrolling for baby music, for sleeping or whatever, I see those covers. I immediately feel this is super fake, even though I know how this was generated.
I think it even applies to music too. I don't know if you've noticed, but so much of this music that's being put out, made with AI, made with computers, etc., it follows formulas. And it might sound appealing at first because it's programmed to sound appealing. But if you listen to that music for any length of time, it can just feel like it's eating at your brain. I mean, there's no variety. It's almost the inherent flaws with human creativity and how we produce stuff is what makes it enjoyable and beneficial in the long term. And I feel like the same is true for written content. It's that honest, authentic human content with its flaws built in, with its spelling mistakes built in, is going to become more and more desirable because we're going to get so sick of the perfect formula-based written content that's designed to sound appealing but lacks anything original.
Do you have a feeling that people are getting fed up with this kind of generated content?
See, I think it's annoying, but I also think it's absolutely perfect that it's happening now. Because even before we had AI content, there was this focus on quantity of content over quality of content. And people were just putting out content that was not very well thought out. And I think now that we have a way to have as much garbage content as you could possibly hope for, people are going to start prioritizing quality over quantity. And I think it's going to have the opposite effect that everyone thought it would. Is I think people are going to get sick of it and they're going to start craving quality over everything else. And I think that's going to change the internet for the better. That yes, you'll always have all this noise. You'll always have all this garbage content out there. But as humans, we're going to increasingly prioritize quality now that we have unlimited quantity of high calorie, low nutrition content.
Let's get back to that lengthening the the buyer journey. So we touched on the content a little bit. So again, speaking of content, how this content can manifest. You mentioned videos, you mentioned blog posts. How can you think of a strategy for that content that will be intentionally created for helping make that buyer journey a little bit longer where necessary, let's say.
Let's start with the brand. So there's two sides to examine. There's the paid social side, and then there's the paid search side. Those are the two biggest levers for pulling people into your website directly. I would say start with the paid search side because it'll get you started the easiest, because it will give you topics to start with. So typically, if it was a brand, I would be looking at, okay, what are the product categories they serve? What industry are they in? And how do those connect with keywords? And so I would be looking at their keywords. I'd be looking at competitor keywords. And I'd be looking for not the hyper-specific, low-volume, long-tail keywords, but the short-tail, broad keywords. The keywords that seemed too big, too broad to spend real money on because we never were able to see performance from them in the past. And I would be looking for those categories and be thinking, okay.
Why? May I ask, sorry for interrupting, but why more traffic to test on?
Why would I start with the broader high volume keywords? Because there's a number of reasons. One, you're probably already converting well with your product detail pages on the long tail hyper specific. They already know exactly what they're looking for. But also the volume on those is going to be small. So if you're going to go to this trouble of validating a longer buying journey, setting up a landing page, writing the content, this is a big project. And I think you want to do it on something that has significant volume behind it so that it becomes a very real growth lever for your business. So again, if you're a brand selling men's running shoes, look for those keywords like men's running shoes that are going to have hundreds of thousands of search queries a month versus the hyper-specific men's size 12 waterproof trail running shoes. Probably your product page can compete on something like that. But if you're wanting to compete on the broader men's running shoes, likely just dropping them to a category page is not going to work. And you're going to find that those search queries have not been profitable for you in the past because they were too broad and you didn't have a way to connect them to your brand.
All right. So we are thinking about keywords that are too broad to be well converting, just directed on a category page.
Exactly.
Unsuitable for that category page. Perfect.
Exactly. And then you're thinking, okay, well, if I can unlock this keyword and I can make this keyword profitable for my business, this is a significant growth lever for you because it has real volume behind it. And it's converting people that weren't familiar with your brand. The biggest trap brands fall into with marketing is they end up spending the bulk of their budget protecting their brand, advertising on their brand terms. So what that means is most of their budget on social is going towards remarketing. Most of their budget on search is going towards smart shopping campaigns that are optimized around people that already were shopping for that brand, or brand keywords that they're already searching for that brand by name. And so if you have $100,000 a month ad budget and $80,000 of it is going towards your own brand and your own customers, you're only spending $20,000 trying to grow your brand and bringing new eyeballs in. That's not a good growth engine. That's not a healthy growth engine. It might look amazing in your Google Analytics. Your return on ad spend looks so incredible, but in terms of what it's actually doing for the company, very little. And that's what we're trying to move away from with this longer buying journey is, okay, how can we bring new eyeballs into the brand.
Because that traffic, as for that brand you mentioned for the AI, it's all vanity metrics, that there is a huge traffic, very little money like dropping from that traffic.
So this longer, broader keyword terms, if you can unlock these are going to be new eyeballs. They're going to be new to brand customers. It's going to be incremental revenue for the company. But it's also going to require you to get your story, your pitch, your content super dialed in, which is going to help the rest of your business as well. And so this is where this was the founding principle of how our agency was founded around this, was using marketing to learn about your customer and how to align your brand with your customers. This becomes a test and learn. What do customers actually care about? You take a broad term like men's running shoes. You can start testing on your landing page. What is actually going to influence people to care about your brand? Is it technical information about your running shoes and why they're different from other running shoes? Is it inspirational stuff? Is it, beautiful lifestyle pictures and having people fantasize about that lifestyle and breaking into it that's going to have the difference? Is it the style of the running shoes and beautiful images and close-up, design features? You can start to use this landing page to test and to learn, well, what is it that's going to make the difference? Once you take that learning and you've discovered that it's the photography and the design features over the education or technical features, you can take that learning and you can apply it to paid social. You can apply it to your homepage. You can apply it to the rest of your brand. But it becomes this learning tool where, okay, we have a new audience. We know they're interested in men's running shoes. How can we position ourselves in the best way to convert those people into brand loyal customers? So then I would look, what are other brands doing? I'd try and get a runner, or a number of runners to run user tests on what they care about, how they shop for shoes. There's platforms that we use. User testing is one you may have heard of, where you actually can recruit your target customer. You can define who is your target customer that you're going after. They will recruit those users for you and have them participate in a 30-minute recorded test of your website, of your landing page, of your competitors' landing pages. And you'll actually get to watch a video of like them sharing their thoughts about messaging, product images, ease of navigation, what they care about when they're buying a pair of running shoes. Like, you can run these tests to get ideas for what your landing page needs to be, what the points it needs to address. And then wireframe design, write the copy for those problems, and then run it as a test. You send half of the traffic to one experience and half to another, and start to learn which one is driving the engagement that you're hoping for.
Always there is the question, how much traffic do you need to have any kind of, significant results, and just not, random results because of whatever the reason. Yeah. So this is, from like statistics perspective, this is very, to have like very proper results, you would have to have this done super, with super big numbers and a very sophisticated, math. So we don't have that stuff, when running tests, and how to deal with that.
That also ties into taking a long view as opposed to being short-sighted. I think it's very common when people do split testing to jump to a conclusion very quickly. Oh, this one's winning. It's leaning in the right direction. End the test. It's working. And I think you want at least 95% statistical significance. So we use a statistical significance calculator, and you can plug in your metrics for how many people you drove to the site, how many conversions you got for each experience, and it will tell you with what degree of certainty one is a winner over the other. And I think you want 95% confidence, but you also want to run the test for a minimum of 2 weeks. We've gotten excited. I can't tell you how many times we've run A/B tests, gotten crazy excited about the results in the first week. It's winning with even 98% confidence, but it's 12 conversions to 3 conversions. And the test is absolutely certain the one with 12 conversions is winning. And then we're like, no, wait, be patient, let it run. And by the time you get up to 100, 200 conversions, they're much closer, or the one that was losing is now the one that's winning. And don't make that novice mistake of ending tests early because you're excited about the results and you want to push the one that you like live as quickly as possible.
Yeah, exactly, because this sounds super exciting and is totally insignificant because you are too early in the test to tell because you know that the number of results will be in hundreds instead of thousands, and this changes everything. All right. This is super interesting. I thought this would be less interesting when you mentioned the extending the path, and we jumped into AI and talked about content.
There's one other way extending the path that we haven't covered. We've been talking landing pages primarily. What we're running now for a number of clients is outperforming anything we've done on landing pages. And it actually ties in with some of the challenges people have with measurement right now, with third-party cookies not having the lifespan that they used to have, tracking not working the way it used to, attribution getting far more murky. One of the solutions we've come to use to get around that is to use email addresses as the link to attribution. And what I mean by that is, someone clicks an ad on Facebook to your website, they follow that link, the cookie drops, they spend time on the website, they look at the brand, they read educational content, they watch the videos, and then they leave and they come back a couple of days later, or they leave looking for a coupon, they come back from a Google ad. Maybe they end up making the purchase 2 to 3 days later because they're looking for a deal. Your cookie-based tracking, your cookie-based attribution is going to fall apart in those scenarios. There's people looking to do MMM. There's people doing like Triple Whale is making all of that first-party cookie. It helps some, but it's still not perfect. And so our way around this for a lot of brands has been, let's use email as the stitch. So rather than relying on cookies, let's capture an email as soon as we can in the buying journey, and then make sure we track where that email came from, which campaign it came from. And in a lot of cases, we're even able to capture emails directly on social platforms. And so this goes with that longer buying journey. If you're a brand and there's room for education, so we have a mountain bike parts brand. I'm going to use that as the hypothetical example. That produced a beautiful guide on how to upgrade your mountain bike. They sell upgraded parts for mountain bikes. And they put together this just incredible guide of not only how to upgrade your mountain bike, but it had riding tips, really a gem of a piece. And then they have this video promoting that. Those ads are working phenomenally well at generating growth in their email list, but we're also able to validate that growth turns into revenue because we're able to track it all the way through, and we have that data coming out of the email nurture program. And so again, that's the longer buying journey where it doesn't even require a landing page, but it requires something of value that someone would give their email address for.
I love it. So the path is the user downloads the guide, leaving the email, and this is stored in the cookie.
And then not even the cookie, the email address when it comes in shows that it came in from a certain Facebook campaign. And then,
but may I prod you on this, because I'm wondering, how that email is transferred from, where it's stored, which is, landing or backend of the store when the user has downloaded the.
It's right on Facebook. So there's a Facebook ad format where you have a video, it's promoting downloading this guide. You click on the ad, and without leaving Facebook, it takes you to a form that's pre-filled out for you with your email address and name. You click submit. Yes, I want the guide. That email goes straight from Facebook into Klaviyo, MailChimp, whatever you're using, with a tag that says where it came from.
Okay, makes sense.
So
I like this example very much.
No cookies needed. No cookies needed.
I guess this is a little bit easier on the GDPR, I guess, at least. But on the other hand, you have to store the email. So not so much, maybe not so much. But I love the idea. This is I have a feeling this gives you a huge confidence in the attribution of the at the end of the day the purchase.
Exactly, and we've tested this across 6 brands now that we're doing this. And seen a range from 40 cents an email up to $2 an email in advertising costs to acquire an email, with the expectation that the email quality was not going to be great. I mean, a lot of people think, the emails you collect on Facebook are terrible. They're not going to perform. We actually saw the opposite. Now, if you're doing a giveaway or you're doing a discount or a coupon, expect your emails are going to not perform as well, because everyone and anyone will sign up for that. But if you're giving away an educational piece, a course, a content, a guide, a book, and it's promoted correctly, those people we've seen actually engage incredibly well in the email list and do end up converting.
Mm-hmm. And I have a feeling this would work very well for the consumer brands, and for B2B, Facebook wouldn't be the medium of the first choice, right? I'm thinking, is there any other tactic that you would like to point something counterintuitive, maybe?
Yeah. Should we talk
Should
we talk shipping?
That's perfect.
So this has come about from ongoing discussions with brands on how much they should be charging for shipping, that they don't want to be losing money on shipping. We're often saying, but conversion rates will be so much better if you lower your shipping costs. And it can become, as an agency, I can say it can become a time suck having these ongoing discussions. And one of the solutions we found to that is to actually start testing different free shipping thresholds or shipping prices right on the website. And
so not only testing landing pages, testing button colors, also testing the prices of
shipping,
of threshold for the free shipping. Okay.
Yeah. And there's some really great tools for this. I haven't used any for WooCommerce yet, but on Shopify, there's an A/B testing tool that we've used called ShipScout. And it's a tool that allows you to run a split test on free shipping thresholds. Do you want to spend in the US $50, I guess where you are, 50 euros and get free shipping, or do you want to make people spend at least 100 to get free shipping? Running a test like that, our first pathway into doing this type of testing was, let's just have a banner on the site and offer that. Or let's have a pop-up on the site like, hey, would you like a free shipping offer? Spend $50, give us your email address, sign up for this, and we'll give you the coupon for it. We found that was not very effective at properly testing that if you want to really understand how shipping costs are impacting conversion rates, you need to run it as a purely random split test, not just a banner promotion, not just a highlight on the product detail page, but actual logic in the checkout that for some people, they'll see it one way and the other people, they'll see it another. And, we expected free shipping to be the winner, and the results have varied client to client, brand to brand. That for some brands, particularly if they have a very brand loyal audience, free shipping was much less of a factor, that they were loyal, they were going to buy it anyway, and actually collecting a little bit of money for shipping was more profitable for them, that they should be charging money for shipping. For brands that maybe don't have as much of a loyal audience and they're driving more new eyeballs to the brand, a higher percentage of the traffic is new to brand visitors. Free shipping is almost a must in order to get the conversion. The conversion rates were substantially better. So it's starting to test and understand and learn about your consumer and your visitor has been really eye-opening for our agency. And a great way to kind of end that debate of how much should we be charging for shipping, because it can just turn into an emotional debate very quickly.
Yeah, and then after those A/B tests, you can produce results and say, oh, this is our way.
Yeah, this is how much money you're making or losing based on your shipping rules.
I have never heard about such a strategy that you can test those thresholds. I think that those small amounts or maybe not small at all, but those small amounts for shipping can be, for some businesses, can be the size of the whole margin on the whole basket. Sometimes, if this is not very expensive item, or if the margin are razor thin, so that shipping cost can be making that business break even or not. Was there anything that surprised you during those shipping tests that you would say, this is totally not what I expected, for example?
I think there was the case with the brand that had a lot of brand loyal visitors, that actually lowering the free shipping threshold didn't actually make them that much more money or improve conversion rates that much. And that the A/B test more or less concluded that they should be charging something for shipping. And that, we've seen in the past, it's mostly the opposite, that, you give people a choice between a % off or free shipping. And it's quite often as a split test, it's free shipping that improves conversion rates more. It's like, and this could be different in Europe too. It's probably, it varies place to place. It varies brand to brand. But most of the tests I'd done previously were indications that the consumers really didn't like having to pay for shipping. And then if you removed that shipping cost, conversion rates went up. But the thing that was counterintuitive to us is, if it's a brand that someone knows they're going to buy anyway, that charging for shipping in that case actually made the brand more money.
We talked a little bit about AI and generative stuff. So I'm thinking about these ideas that are happening and are emerging as a new trend in e-commerce marketing, for example. Anything that you'd point to?
A thought-provoking question. So what we're seeing more and more is the shift to using AI, not just for content generation, but for campaign optimization. And what that looks like for Google is these smart campaigns. PMax campaigns is the latest evolution of this, where you don't even pick keywords. You enter in your website, Google will create the campaign, you set the budget, you enter in your website, Google will pick the keywords, It will write the ad copy. Maybe you upload some videos that you want to use as ads, and you don't even choose whether you want it to be shopping, whether you want it to be search, whether you want it to be display. It's fully automated on autopilot. Google controls everything for you, and they're using their AI to optimize it.
Scary, especially scary. Or
and yet
let's turn it.
Yeah, and yet it's showing incredible results in platform. So it's very appealing to brands because all of a sudden they don't need their agency anymore.
This is number one scary that I wanted to turn into a question.
Yeah, I'm actually looking at it not from the perspective. Again, it's kind of like it's going to backfire the same way that AI for content is going to backfire, in my opinion. In the same way, people are getting sick of garbage content with this AI produced content, and they're looking for something more authentic, more real, and it's increasing the value of the real content. I think the same thing is happening with Google's play to push people into PMax campaigns. That it's going to actually make people care about their agency even more, because the people that take that poison pill, and a lot of people have, they realize they've handed over their keys to Google, and Google does not have their best interest at heart. Google cares about one thing only, and that is Google making more money. And so they've discovered that if they can make their Performance Max campaigns look better, then companies will spend more money. So they found very good ways of calculating attribution, of targeting people that were going to buy anyway to make their dashboards look better. And so it worked. In the short term, it worked. Companies swallowed the poison pill. They spent more and more money with Google. They got really excited about how well Performance Max was doing. And then at a certain point, CFOs start looking at, okay, you're saying these campaigns are working really well, that we don't need our agency anymore, that Google can run everything on autopilot, but our business isn't doing well. Our bottom line doesn't reflect all the things you're saying Google is showing in their dashboard, because it's an illusion. It's not real. And I think that's happening everywhere. It's not just with Google. It's happening with Facebook. It's happening across all the platforms. And the thing to be aware of is when control is being taken away, you need to start questioning why. And it's often being taken away with bait. It's, here's something that we can do for you that you don't have to do anymore. We can make this look better than it ever looked better in the past. We can promise performance that you never could unlock in the past. We can do all the creative for you that you never had to do. Every time you're taking the easy path, the path of least resistance, the path of least work, but sacrificing control, I think it's potentially a mistake. And I think it's the thing I would encourage brands to be most alert about, most aware of with this evolution of AI, is not to lose track of, not to lose control over the direction of your brand and where it's going and how you're marketing it. Not to just turn over to comfort and ease and simplicity of letting AI do it for you.
This is very interesting insight, one I wasn't expecting, and this is very interesting because of it. I can make a comment that the whole Google ecosystem is an ecosystem that you have to trust produces correct results. You have no way or very little way of verifying what happens behind the scenes, because behind the scenes is not for you, and you only rely on results that are presented to you, that you have little knowledge about the traffic that is coming to your website because you generated that paid traffic. You have very little knowledge, unless you really tie that, for example, with that idea for tying the campaign via email address. this is something that is a trail that you are leaving to like those breadcrumbs until they've been eaten.
So
but there
you can validate, but not with the direction Google's going. And so if you decline Google's recommendations, and they actually penalize us as an agency for doing this, it's like we get rewarded as an agency by convincing clients to shift to Performance Max. They will give us all these reward points and gifts, and agency, like the one thing to look for is if an agency has this stamp of being a top tier agency in Google's eyes, it's more than likely to win that stamp of approval from Google. You have to be recommending that all your customers be on Performance Max. But you can decline that. You can take control back, and you can validate the Google traffic. There is still enough tracking today. And if you set up measurement properly, you can validate the power of Google. It's not completely a black box. But to be aware and to fight back, because I think if all brands just continue to roll with the Performance Max campaigns, what they're going to do is they're going to actually just remove your ability to have manual campaigns in the future. If enough people comply with the direction they want of having complete control,
with a critical mass gained.
Yeah. And so I think it's really important for brands to fight back and to say, no, we're not doing that. We're going to continue to run manual campaigns. We're not going to swap it over to Google Autopilot. We're not going to turn on. That's the other sneaky thing Google does. There's a setting that will just turn on, sometimes even by itself, for auto apply their recommendations. You have to be very deliberate and fight back and turn these off and say, no, you can't just make changes in our ad account without.
It's just a glitch. It's a glitch.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, this sounds deliberate, like, all of those conspiracy theories are coming to my mind. That this is one of those, those conspiracy theories manifest themselves in this way. That there is that little switch.
Yeah, maybe I'm just a conspiracy nut, but I've been watching what's happening on Google too long. And
no, I mean, but if you look long enough, maybe it's easier to see stuff going. But this is super interesting. All right, thank you, David, for the conversation. It was very interesting conversation with unexpected turns, like for the AI and the ominous ending about Google. It was pleasure for me to chat about it. And thank you, and maybe we will have another episode, about other aspects of marketing.
Yeah, whenever you tell me.
If you like what you've just heard, don't forget to subscribe for more episodes. On the other hand, if you've got a question we haven't answered yet, feel free to reach out to us directly. Just go to osomstudio.com/contact. Thanks for listening, and see you in the next episode of the Osom To Know podcast.